to episode 30 of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast. I am Lucas Dorton, the man with the Nike skull cap. No, he is not bald. He didn't lose my Panthers bet yet.
Won't happen either.
That is Nick Doetkott. Nick, how are we doing today?
We just got the flow in the back now instead of everywhere.
You got the show hair going. They got the show hair.
You bet. You know, sometimes the hair just needs to be contained, so.
It's too much for the ladies sometimes, I could imagine, so you got to contain it.
It's a lady killer. Every once in a while, it's just got to be mellowed down. Every once in a while.
Oh, that's awesome. So obviously we did not have an episode last week. Schedules and had some stuff going on. I couldn't quite get anything going. But we are having one. Yeah, I mean, obviously. I mean, people are just signing up for us to be on their talk shows all the time. So that's why we weren't able to do this.
Yeah, I think I got one with Coward on like Tuesday.
Oh, you do? Okay, nice. You want to put in a good word for me?
Coward, he's my man.
I got Stephen A. and Max Kellerman on Thursday, so I'll let you know how that goes.
I think I'd decline if they asked me.
Oh, geez. Okay. But anyways, a ton of sports stuff to talk about. Probably a little bit of a longer episode, but nonetheless, it's good to have stuff to talk about with sports going on. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to get into some football. Starting with the Washington football team, that is now going to be the new team name for now of the former Washington Redskins. Now, first off, Mr. Doetkott, if you are becoming the owner, the person responsible for making the Washington team a new name, what name would you get it? Because there were some pretty cool ones from what I saw.
A lot of times I try to stick to the WW. I can't remember what that's called, but the same letter. So
Yeah.
Washington and something with a W. But I mean, I didn't think about it that hard, but Washington. Honestly, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. But I can guarantee you, if you gave me 20 minutes to think of a name, I'd come up with a better one than the Washington football team. Are you kidding me right now? The Washington football team? That's what you're going with? It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was kind of reading into it, and essentially what it came down to was that they weren't going to be able to completely rebrand and get new logos and stuff like that. Essentially in about a month's time, by the time the season starts up. So in that regards, okay, yeah, I guess you can't really. It's gonna be hard to make a new team name, rebrand, get all the logos and merch out and stuff like that. So I'd probably give it about a year or so before.
Well, can't you just come up with a name and then just come up with the logo and all that stuff later?
I mean, probably.
You can at least call yourself by a name besides the football team. Especially when you're so trash, I don't know if you can even consider them a football team. You got your boy Dwayne Haskins throwing interceptions back there.
Hey, no. We don't have no Dwayne Haskins slander on this podcast. You understand? So that's my last warning to you.
All right. You defend your football team.
I will defend my football team.
Hey, look, it's Joe Poe. I told you he'd come in here.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody else on the podcast here. This is the person that we talk about every once in a while, our soon-to-be roommate, Jordan Paetzel. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 30. Jordan, how you feeling today?
Feeling great. What are you talking about today?
Football team.
We're talking about the Washington football team to start right now.
Okay.
About how terrible of a name it is.
Yeah, I don't know how they couldn't have come up with anything better when they were talking about it for probably 2-3 weeks.
Exactly.
That's fair. Also, Jordan, before you get going, what opinion on the skull cap for Mr. Doetkott? You like it?
Oh, I love it. I love the flow in the back.
Exactly. See? Just the flow in the back.
Yeah. It's a lady killer, that's for sure. It's going to make me want to grow out my hair.
You should.
Okay, well, I'll think about it.
Think about it.
Alrighty. So I appreciate the guest appearance there. It's always nice to have a new face on the podcast. It's always cool.
Especially when we got to look at yours for 2 hours.
Yeah, well, ditto. Same goes for you. Oh, man. But anyway, so we'll get into the next piece of football news. Jamal Adams is now on a new team, the Seattle Seahawks. Jets trading Jamal Adams on a 4th-round pick in 2022 to Seattle for Bradley McDougald, a 1st-round pick in 2021, a 3rd round in 2021, and a 1st round in 2022. So initial reaction, do you like this trade, and who won it?
I really like this trade because it's actually for once, it's a trade that's good for both teams. So clearly Bill O'Brien had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, good.
I honestly think Jamal Adams is the best safety in football already. I really do. So, I mean, it's not necessarily good for the Jets getting rid of a guy like that, but considering they were on really bad terms, and if you're going to get rid of him, I mean, I'd say they got a good return for him. McDougall's decent.
Yeah.
And you get 2 first-rounders, which, I mean, yeah, they might be in the 20-some overall because the Seahawks should be good, but it's still a first-round draft pick in the NFL. That's valuable, 2 of them. And then you said, what, a 3rd rounder, I think, too?
Yeah, 3rd round in 2021, yeah.
I mean, that's a good return. And now for the Seahawks, I mean, yeah, you're giving up a lot. But like I said, I truly think Jamal Adams is the best safety in football, and you're adding that to a team that was already pretty good last year. I think they could – to me, they're the favorites to win that division. I know most would still say San Fran, but to me, it's the Seahawks.
Yeah, this is an interesting trade. I really am a fan on both sides of it. The Jets, obviously, okay, you know what? Yeah, you're giving up Jamal Adams, arguably the best safety in the league. So, you can't really get around that. But you can't deny the headache that was kind of going around with that whole situation there, and kind of a pretty big distraction to, I'm sure, that they did not want to have. Seems like a cue with Adam Gase and having distractions. Wouldn't be the first time he's had it. Probably won't be the last. But anyways, for Seattle, okay, yeah, you give up 2 first-round picks, but welcome to pro sports in this century. You got to give up a lot to get a lot, okay? If you want to give up, if you want to get a guy like Jamal Adams, I mean, you're not going to be able to give up a 6th-round pick for him. You're not going to be able to.
Unless you're trading with Bill O'Brien.
Unless you're trading with Bill O'Brien or with Adam Gase. I'm surprised Adam Gase got this much back. Because when he traded Jarvis Landry, we got like a 4th and a 6th round pick. So I'm surprised. I don't know how he was able to do it to
Maybe
get
the
2
GM
first-round
said,
picks.
You have nothing to do with this. This is all on me.
Well, hopefully. I wish our GM would have stepped in that case. I don't know. But anyways, nonetheless, I do like this. Jamal Adams is young. Seattle's going to be able to kind of build around this guy. I wouldn't say the defense certainly isn't depleted by any means, but it's not the Legion of Boom like we were used to seeing, how many years back. So this is maybe kind of a step in the right direction to get it back to that stage.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that the Vikings have to play Jamal Adams this year now. That I don't like.
Well, at least he's out of my division. So I'm happy to see that.
True.
I'm happy to see that. Okay, so Jamal Adams is now gone. So sorry about it to Jets fans. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs signing their defensive tackle Chris Jones to a 4-year, $85 million extension. Okay, well, you just gave Patty Mahomes over $400 million. I guess we can try and scrounge up, $85 more million to give up to our defensive
tackle. Right, they didn't have any money left.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know if they have to set up a GoFundMe page to maybe get some of this money. The state of
3 years from now, I think the Chiefs are going to be like a punter, a kicker, Mahomes, and Chris Jones, and that's going to be the whole roster.
There you go. Just put Chris Jones on the offensive line too. Have him protect Mahomes, and Holmes can just run it around and throw it to himself. Go back to the good old 8-man football. You're playing on both sides of the ball.
Right. But about the signing, I mean, my spiel about running backs. I'm sure we'll get to that shortly here.
Probably.
Defensive tackles, I'm somewhat the same way. Like, at one point, like Aaron Donald, is an absolute tank, and he clearly, changes games. But like, if I'm starting a defense, I want a good pass rusher, a DN, and then typically cornerbacks and a middle linebacker. That would be the three building blocks I would build my defense after. Not necessarily a defensive tackle. So giving him that much money, I'm not really. I mean, I don't know if he's worth that much when you're already paying your quarterback like $1 trillion. But
Give or take.
he is a good ball player, so I don't know. I mean, they locked up a guy on the defense. That's nice.
I think defensive line is probably one of the most important positions in football, just because if you're able to create that pressure, get to the quarterback quick, I mean, that just helps out the defense behind you. If Chris Jones is punching it up the middle, trying to get a sack, trying to give him that pressure, even if he doesn't get a sack, wherever the quarterback is at the time, yeah, it's going to be a tough game, because then, okay, put some pressure on him, make a bad throw, makes life a heck of a lot easier for those D-backs back there. So it's important. It's important to have them, have a guy that's solid out there. Obviously, he's worth the money. So,
yeah,
like I said, I don't know where they got the money from, but I guess Kansas City's just got a limited amount of money. If so, send some over here. That'd be great.
Must just hit gold in Kansas City, I guess, or they struck oil or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. So another contract here. Derrick Henry and the Titans. 4 years, $50 million, 25.5 of it is guaranteed. I know you are a big Derrick Henry guy, so I'll let you start with this one. Do you like this?
I mean, I'm a big Derrick Henry guy, so maybe you won't be shocked, but I'm actually finally like for a running back contract.
Shut up! Get out of here.
Christian McCaffrey is getting like $16 million. Henry's only getting 12.5. 3.5 may not seem like a lot, but trust me, 3.5 a year, that's a big difference. He's getting like 75% of what McCaffrey's getting. That's a big deal. And when you're Henry, like, they literally made the playoffs and won playoff games only like because of Derrick Henry.
No,
like,
Tanner
Goat did well, but he literally had like 87 pass yards, I think, against the Patriots, and they won
in the playoff. Okay, but that wasn't the playoffs, yes. But to get to the playoffs, yes, Henry was a big part. I ain't refuting
but
that.
But Henry's like, if you don't have Henry,
still have to
that
throw
team
the ball.
Doesn't work anymore. Like, Derrick Henry is the only Derrick Henry. Like, there isn't another Derrick Henry in football.
I know.
Like, Ezekiel Elliott's pretty similar to him, but you're not just going to go replace Henry with Elliott. Like, the Titans, as they're constructed right now, and they have Goat signed, and they have all these other guys signed, if you want to compete, if you want to continue that success you had last year, you cannot get rid of Henry.
You can't get rid of McCaffrey? Really? Okay.
No, they can't get rid of McCaffrey because the Panthers are terrible anyways.
Oh,
and you'll find that out when I still have Henry come February.
Stop it.
But Derrick Henry is, like I said, 4 or 5 months ago, if there's one running back I can take to start my football team, it's Derrick Henry right now. And if I only have to give him 12.5, I'm totally fine with that. 16, that would be a different story. 12.5, I can do that.
So you're not worried at all with how Derrick Henry plays, a very punchy in the mouth kind of guy. You don't think an injury will be a concern for that at all?
The dude's like Goliath. I mean, he ain't getting hurt.
Okay.
Unless David comes with a slingshot or something, he'll be all right.
Well, for every Goliath, there's a David lurking in the shadows, so you never know. You never know.
I mean, I suppose, but let's just. I mean, still, you gonna trust Henry staying healthy or McCaffrey staying healthy? I mean, if you're gonna give me that argument, well, McCaffrey's probably gonna get hurt before Henry does.
I don't know, man. McCaffrey's a shifty guy. He knows how to get away from those guys. Henry's just I'm gonna run into you.
Sleep on a Christian McCaffrey pillow at night?
I should. He's a Colorado boy. I should get
really?
myself. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, his dad, Ed McCaffrey, played with the Broncos when John Elway was here, won a couple Super Bowls, and grew up in Colorado.
Too bad his kid won't even win 6 games this year.
They're winning 8. Going back to our predictions, they're gonna go 8-8. Oh.
Okay.
So let me ask you this then. Derrick Henry, if they would have given him the $16 million a year, how would you feel about that?
I'd feel better about that than the McCaffrey deal because, one, you're just paying McCaffrey $16 million to continue sucking. Whereas Henry...
To continue sucking?
The team.
Uh,
McCaffrey's a stud, and it still did nothing for you. So what the hell's why on earth would you want to pay him? Whereas Henry, if you pay him, there's a good chance you're still going to have that success you had last year. Where if you don't have Henry, you might struggle. But $16 million, I mean, boy, that's a lot of money to give a running back. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be fond of it, but I wouldn't be ecstatic either.
Keep that same energy, Nick. Keep the same energy you were saying with McCaffrey. Say it with your chest.
Derrick Henry is like the only reason that team had success in the playoffs. Like, if you don't have Henry, you aren't good anymore.
But that's okay. I get that, but like,
running backs are the most easily replaceable position in football. I've said that many times. But you can't just – most of the time that's because it's a passing team that just, gives it to the running back every once in a while or uses them in the pass game, like the Chiefs do so well. I mean, you can't just – the way the Titans play and the way Henry runs, it's hard to replace that. It's a lot harder to replace that than other running backs.
Well, it ain't easy to replace a Christian McCaffrey either, though.
Well, it's pretty easy to replace 4 wins.
All I'm saying is I like the McCaffrey deal. I like it because it's just like quarterbacks, right? There's a reason why quarterbacks don't hit the market and why they stay on teams so often.
Because they actually give you wins on Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, but Christian McCaffrey, it's the same thing. If you're the Carolina Panthers, do you want to see this guy walk? Like, yeah, realistically, are you going to win 15 games with him? Probably not. But are you going to have a better chance if you have him in there versus, I don't know, CJ Anderson?
You know what signing McCaffrey's going to do for them? It's just going to give them 5 or 6 wins instead of 2. So instead of getting the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, they're going to get like the 7, and they're just going to continue to suck for 5 years.
You are the biggest.
Just get rid of him. You can get the number 1 or 2 overall pick. You can get that quarterback in the future. Then you got plenty of money to pay him, and then you can talk about success in 5 years. But now Christian McCaffrey is just going to ball out, get you like 5 or 6 wins. You're still going to suck. You're not going to get a great pick, and you're just going to do the same thing over and over again.
So if you're the Carolina Panthers right now, you're telling me
I would not have paid him $16 million.
But you're going to let go of Christian McCaffrey. If he walks into your office right now and says either give me $16 million or I'm leaving, you're going to say, all right, there's the door?
Yep.
I do not believe you for 1 second.
Well, if you're the GM, I mean, people might be pissed at you, but that's because people are stupid.
Yeah, okay. Well, you think Bill O'Brien is a genius then? Probably.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Gosh, get out of here with that. Biggest Christian McCaffrey hater I've ever met.
I'm not a Christian McCaffrey hater. I'm a running back hater with, like, Derrick Henry as the exception, I guess.
Oh, my. All right, whatever. Okay, so we'll move on from that. Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns get an extension, 5 years, $125 million. The guy is good. I don't know if I necessarily would have given him this much right now just because he's not on the field. I mean, take away the Mason Rudolph situation, the guy gets hurt a lot.
They're giving him $125 million. Are they going to have any dollars left to buy helmets for him when he bashes them all?
Maybe they should do a sponsorship with a helmet company. Get some more money coming in that way.
I mean, Myles Garrett is really good. But first of all, I don't know if he's even like a top. I mean, there's an argument for he's the best pass rusher in the game, but I don't know if I'd even take him. I wouldn't take him above Chandler Jones. I wouldn't take him above Danielle Hunter. Call me biased if you want, but I wouldn't
either.
I mean, there's probably, and then after that, there's debate. But I mean, yeah, he's probably a top 5 rusher for sure. And I think a D end is probably the most important position on the defensive side of the football field. Mm-hmm. But $25 million I mean, he's the highest paid defensive player in history, and he's only played, probably like 24 games?
It's something like that. It's not
a lot. It's not like you'd be like, well, give me one more year to prove it. Like, I think Myles Garrett's clearly going to be good and
right
for a while.
Right.
But is he really worth that much? If it's a difference between giving him that much or not having him at all, maybe. Because like I said, I think your D end is the most important position on defense. But I find it hard to believe they couldn't have signed him for less than that. Like, I want to know how that negotiation went. Like, if they just said, yo, we'll give you 22 a year, like, would he have really turned that down?
Probably not.
I mean,
it'd be tough to.
It just seems like a lot of money to give a guy. Which, has his suspension even been lifted yet? Like, I mean, he's obviously going to be able to play week 1, but, like, has he even, like, have they even told him he can yet?
I think he's met with Roger Goodell a couple times. I don't know if anything, like, has blatantly come out and said, okay, yeah, like, this is it. Like, you know, your suspension's gone. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I mean, the guy's good, but I wouldn't be that ecstatic as a Browns fan to be paying him $25 million. But then again, I mean, you compare that to the Chris Jones contract. I think I'd rather have Garrett for 25 than a D tackle for 20 and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough because Myles Garrett, I mean,
I just when I said that over again, $25 million. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot
for a guy who's. I mean, unless it's your quarterback, it's hard to pay anybody that much money. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't think, could he be deserving of this contract? Yeah, probably. But like, play a full season, like be on the field, be available and ready to play.
How much did you say is guaranteed?
I didn't see the guaranteed part when I was looking through it. Because
that's the big thing here. Because like you mentioned, like, you know, he's not on the field. You know, I think he was leading the league in sacks, or maybe would have, but he got hurt and then he got suspended. Yeah. And it's like, well, if you're only, and I mean, it's not like this guy's J.J. Watt the last 3 years and is never playing, but like, if you're getting paid $25 million, you better at least be going out there 14 times for me a regular season, you know?
Yeah. Nonetheless, though, Browns lock up one of the better pass rushers in the game. Young guy.
I do think the Browns have a bright future. I mean,
I think so.
Mayfield's going to have to do better than what he did this last year, but I do think he will. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever be anything great, but I mean, they got a good roster over there. They got some stuff to figure out offensively, but they got the personnel there for it. I do think the Browns have a pretty good future.
I'm interested to see how they do this year with Stefanski, like probably an actual coach, not the situation they had last. I mean, that was so bad. I mean, Baker Mayfield didn't play well. Really, the whole offense really underperformed, for being honest. Yeah. But I think
Chubb.
Besides Chubb, right. I think Stefanski, though, hopefully can turn that around. I wouldn't say this is like a make or break year for Mayfield by any means, because it's tough, but I think if he doesn't perform this year, I don't know. It'll be different. It'll be interesting.
I mean, I agree. I mean, if he just sucked this year, I mean, unless you really, really tank,
like he'd have to play
he'd
bad.
Still be quarterback in 2022 or 2021, 22. But yeah, I mean, this is an important year, because if he doesn't play well, I mean, he's really going to have to play well the year after that if he wants to make a name for himself and keep his job. I do think he's going to have a much improved season, though. I really do.
I think so. But anyways, yeah, solid guy gets locked up again in the NFL. So move over to the National Basketball Association. A few things come out of that. We really didn't have anything in the NBA to talk about up until probably about a few days ago. We got a couple more things. But we'll start with Rajon Rondo. Suffers a broken thumb, going to be out about 6 to 8 weeks now. You know, you do the math. If the Lakers were to continue playing, it'd be around probably like the conference finals, semifinals, kind of somewhere in that range there. So I think they can do well without Rondo. I'm not a ginormous Rondo guy to begin with. I think he's a little overrated. But you can't deny, obviously, being a veteran and having won championship before, it certainly helps, and it certainly gives you a little bit of a leg up, because you kind of know what to go through. You can have that guy out there on the court. Do you think this will be a significant impact to the Lakers?
I think slightly. I mean, I don't think huge. But the fact that, see, as long as LeBron's on the court, Rondo really doesn't matter. But if you played Rondo every minute that LeBron wasn't on the court, that's where he becomes really valuable, because LeBron's, essentially a point guard this year. I mean, he's leading the league in assists. And Rondo does exactly the same thing. Obviously he doesn't score 30 a game or 27, whatever, but they're the same. He's the only real legit point guard on that team after LeBron. So when LeBron's not on the floor, it's really nice to have Rondo there, especially an experienced vet. But with that being said, it's not I think they're going to be able to overcome Rondo. I do think it's going to hurt them a little bit, especially considering they won't have Avery Bradley anymore either. Although he really hasn't played that well this year, in my opinion, anyways. But at the same time, he should be back, like you said, by conference finals, and they won't need him until then anyways. Now, you don't want to just throw him back in there in the conference finals, and, it's not like you shouldn't expect him to be right up to form right away. Right. But, it's not like they're going to need him in the first 2 rounds. He ain't going to be the difference. Right. So, I think it'll have a little impact, though, for sure. And I do think the postseason pedigree he has is important. They got LeBron and Danny Green. They got plenty postseason pedigree. But I do think experience is huge, especially point guards when it comes to playoffs. So I do think it'll be a slight loss for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's hard for me to – if I'm a Lakers fan, it would be very hard for me to panic knowing I have LeBron James healthy, having not played for a few months and ready to go on my team. These 8 regular season games, I would assume nobody will be getting – darn near nobody in the NBA besides those teams fighting for the playoff spots will be getting big-time minutes. But come playoff time, I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron and Davis play 45 minutes a game. They're so rested by this point. And, especially for LeBron when you're, 35, 36, it's like, well, if you don't get it this year, you might not get it again. So, he's going to be playing so many minutes in the playoffs. Just like every other year. The guy seems like he's playing 80 minutes a game every
and I guess and back to the Rondo thing, I do think he's an important piece because, like I said, when LeBron is off the floor, he's a really nice guy to have there to just, kind of fill his spot while he rests.
Keep the boat going.
But
don't think,
Rondo's not even going to come back until maybe 2 weeks left in the season, and you've already had 3 or 4 months without playing to work with your guys. I don't know if it's really going to be worth it to try to work Rondo into a rotation and get some chemistry back in only those 2 weeks. He might not be playing hardly anything when he does come back.
So if you're the Lakers, are you considering if when he does come back, he's healthy to play, that you're just maybe not giving him a lot of minutes, you think? Is that
it kind of depends how the team's doing without him, especially, like I said, when LeBron's not on the court. Because as far as I'm concerned, when LeBron's on the court, Rondo really doesn't matter much because Rondo's not going to be – the only way Rondo is really going to be effective is if the ball's in his hand. And, LeBron's pretty ball dominant. But so if they do good without LeBron on the floor in these 8 games in the first round or 2 in the playoffs, then I would not expect many minutes from Rondo. If they do struggle and it looks like they truly need a good point guard out there, then he'll probably get some minutes. But it all depends on what happens when he is out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Like I said,
I do like Rondo though. I am a Rondo guy, and he's actually really improved his shot. He's been making threes somewhat consistently this year too. They're wide open because people aren't even guarding him, but he's making them. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not too entirely worried. I don't think this really puts the Lakers off of the path from being one of the top teams that contend to win it. Like I said, and kind of like you said too, it does have a little bit of an impact because he is a veteran. He has won, an NBA championship before. He has that experience. So it is always nice to have that guy, but when you got a guy whose name is LeBron James on your team, I don't think you're too worried.
And the Lakers don't necessarily really have many true point guards. So, Rondo is one of the few they have. But yeah, I mean, I think we both agree. It's not gonna be a huge loss or anything. I don't think.
Right. So moving on to one of the few teams that did not make the NBA playoff bubble, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor, their owner, announced that he's going to be selling the team. Initial reports is that one of the teams that wants to buy it, one of their members is former Timberwolves and Celtic Kevin Garnett and Brooklyn Net Kevin Garnett. This will be interesting. First off, you've obviously lived in Minnesota your whole life, so you know probably more about this situation than I would. Is this good news for the Timberwolves? If Taylor sells the team, regardless of who it goes to.
I mean, if you're a legit Timberwolves fan, you're probably ecstatic at this news because I don't think people think very highly of Glenn Taylor. And KG is like the only legitimate, like, Hall of Fame player the T-Wolves have ever had. Like, they're one of the worst teams to ever exist without him. Even with him, they're one of the worst franchises we've ever seen. But without him, they are terrible. Yeah. I mean, he is their franchise, and his number is not even retired because he refuses to let them retire it because he just despises Glenn Taylor. Now, maybe that says something about KG. I mean, I don't want to dig into personal issues, but clearly people don't like each other. But Glenn Taylor does not have a very good reputation here, and I'm sure people are ecstatic to hear he's selling, and I'm sure a lot of people will probably want KG to get it because everybody loves KG, but it sounds like that's probably unlikely. But then they said the Wilfs, who own the Vikings, are like the number one suitors, and then it said that ain't happening. So it doesn't sound like anybody really knows it's happening. But yes, I think at like 90+% of Timberwolves fans, like legit Timberwolves fans, are happy by this news. Taylor also owns the Lynx. I haven't heard if he's selling the Lynx or not. Not that I know of, but he owns the Lynx too. So
1 for 2 on good basketball teams.
Right.
That's interesting. I
was
know.
Surprised though. I mean, I wasn't shocked because, like I said, Taylor doesn't have a very good reputation, but there's a lot of owners who don't. Steve Dolan or Jeff Dolan, what's his name?
Yeah.
Dolan for the Knicks, the Redskins owner, and it's not like their bad reputation has led them to selling their team. So I mean, I'm still kind of surprised that Glenn Taylor's doing it, but.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everything that I've heard has kind of led to that is that Taylor's not a very well-liked person as far as ownership goes for the sports team out there. I think I have heard stuff, though, that Kevin Garnett, like you mentioned, and him just don't get along. But then I was reading a headline that said apparently Garnett's like eager to try and make something happen and like really wants to, it's trying to have a good time. I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you this: Timberwolves are gonna suck regardless. The Timberwolves.
Oh,
they got D'Angelo Russell now, so maybe they'll be all right.
All right. Well, okay. Well, they'll be 10 games below 500 instead of 20, so that's good.
Until they signed Nick Skullcap Duckett, they're doomed.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you want 40 boards, offensive boards a game, no points.
40 missed layups.
Yeah. Then there you go. Hey, there's a market for that. Look at Dennis Rodman. Couldn't score with anything.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer who never even averaged 10 a game, or maybe one season.
Nick Duckett, Dennis Rodman. I don't know. Not too big a difference for me.
Like Dennis Rodman is he's my NBA comparison.
That's your player comp. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It totally is.
I mean, mine's like LeBron James, but I don't like to brag too much out here. But
okay.
Oh man, but no, seriously, KG, if he is part of the team that does end up buying the Timberwolves, I don't know how much he'll have a say in operational stuff and day-to-day stuff, but could you see him potentially being a decently big impact in turning the franchise around?
I could see him coaching. I could see him be like, hey, I want to coach too. Probably not. Jeter owns a team. Jordan Jordan owns a team, and they don't coach. But, I mean, I think KG would have a big impact. I really do. Because people love him in Minnesota, and he really likes Minnesota. He just doesn't get along with Taylor. And I think KG would kind of look at it as his responsibility to turn this franchise around.
That would be a pretty big responsibility, but I think if there's anyone who truly knows the Minnesota Timberwolves like basketball, it's got to be Kevin Garnett. So,
yeah, like the only legit player they've ever had.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Before I moved to college in Minnesota, like I didn't know much about the sports teams. Like like you hear stuff and you see stuff, but like I never knew much about the Timberwolves until I got out there. And then I realized that they were bad. And I'm not trying to roast, but like seriously, like they are just not a good franchise.
No, I'm being
picked that up really
honest.
quick.
Like, yeah, I've been called a Timberwolves hater, fine, but this is honest when I say this. Of the major 4 professional sports in America, they are probably over their existence the worst or like second or third worst of all of them. And you got the Browns. If you count the Super Bowl era Browns, they're terrible.
Yeah.
The Lions, the Sacramento Kings are pretty bad. Boy, I can't really think of any other worse.
Marlins
the Cubs
haven't been
went
good
over 100
recently.
years without a World Series, but they've had good teams. The Timberwolves are one of the very worst. They've made the playoffs in a sport where over half the teams make the playoffs. They made the playoffs like 4 times or something like that.
And one of them was when Jimmy Buckets willed them to an 8 seed.
And literally when KG hasn't, if you take the Timberwolves in minus KG, they have like a 300 winning percentage. They're terrible.
Oh my!
They're terrible.
Now, did the Timberwolves make the playoffs a lot when KG was there?
They made it like 3 or 4 years in a row, I think. Yeah, but.
Gotcha. All right, well.
Because they had like Cassell and Zerbiak and Spreewell. They were good for like 3 or 4 years, and that was about it.
Yeah. Huh. Well, anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Who ends up buying in? If anyone is willing to try and turn around the franchise. So maybe I don't know.
I'm gonna go win big at the casino, and then I'll buy them.
All right, you do that. Sounds good to me. New York Knicks are gonna have a new head coach, Tom Thibodeau, former Minnesota Timberwolves coach.
Yeah.
To a 5-year deal to the Knicks. Now, if I'm not mistaken, one of the reasons why he left the Timberwolves was because he wanted a lot of power. He wanted a lot of say in the organization. It's kind of what I heard. I don't know how much truth there is behind that.
That and the fact that he's a trash coach.
That too, probably. Well, trash coach, trash team. We'll see how it works. As for the Knicks-wise, do you like this guy being their next head coach?
No. I think Thibodeau did a pretty good job with the Bulls, but I think I've realized Thibodeau's not the greatest coach. He seems to be – he's like a dictator. The dude wants to do everything by the sounds of it. And, I just see a lot of dysfunction happening with him and the Knicks. And they gave him, 4-year deal? A team who, can't even keep a coach for half a season, it seems like, is going to give a guy a 4-year deal? I don't know, man. It looks like another sad Knickerbocker season.
Stephen A. is not going to be very happy, I'm sure. Now, it'll be interesting. I'm not expecting a whole lot from him. Obviously, the team itself is not good. They do not have a good roster.
My name. It's a good thing they put a K in front of there. I'd have to change the spelling of my name.
No, that is funny. It'll be interesting to see in this 5 years. Personally, do you at all in this 5-year deal, do the Knicks make the playoffs at all? Now, obviously, they'll probably be pretty bad for a couple of them, so they'll get top picks.
16 teams make it. Maybe once. It depends if they hit on any of their picks. Yeah. Currently, I don't think they really have anybody that's probably going to do. Who'd they draft this year? Who's their rookie?
RJ Barrett.
Yeah, he had a decent year.
He's got potential.
But, I don't know. It's probably I'd give it like a playoff appearance over the next 5 years. Shouldn't be very hard in the NBA, but I'd say I only give them like a 40% chance.
Yeah. That's pretty generous. I've given them like a 15% chance, so I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe they'll turn things around.
Sorry, I keep turning back and watch. I got the Braves and Mets on in the background. Albie's is on third. He's on one of my fantasy teams, so I'm distracted here.
Speaking of fantasy baseball, I guess we can move into baseball now. It's the next topic. I recently drafted your fantasy baseball team, Nick.
Thank you.
Are you pleased with it?
I mean, you pretty much did what I asked. My pitchers aren't that solid, but I wanted stud hitters. And you got me Nelly Cruz, so the dude's like leading the league in everything right now. He had 7 RBIs today. He has 3 home runs already. Eddie Rosario, you got me my favorite twin. You probably didn't even know that.
Oh no, I knew that. That's why I drafted him.
Yeah, he's my boy. And yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. You got David Dahl, who I didn't even start this week, and then he goes like 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 on opening day.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm liking the team. I just hope some of those pitchers pan out. I'm banking on those A's pitchers, and now especially with Verlander being out with Houston, that should help them out. But no, I'm happy with it.
All right, that's good.
My other team got completely auto drafted, and I thought it was going to be terrible. Well, it's not great, but my hitters are stacked on that one too.
Heck yeah.
So my fantasy teams are all offense.
All dingers, baby. All dingers.
Speaking of Verlander, because I just brought him up, that was my ESPN update. It said Verlander denies the season is over.
That's interesting. Well, I guess we can move right into that because we got headlines today that said Verlander is going to be out for the entire season. Now it looks like, according to Justin Verlander, maybe he won't be out for the entire season.
Well, and see, it's kind of interesting because originally when I hear that, you hear a pitcher out for the season, especially at the beginning of the season, you think, Tommy John or something, right? But then it kind of hit me. It's like, well, a 2-month injury is essentially out for the season this year. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's not that serious because, they said you don't need Tommy John or anything. And now he says, hoping to return soon after a little time off. If they were originally reporting out for the year, I'd say it's unlikely he'll pitch too much. But, I mean, only he can know. I mean, so maybe he'll be back a little bit. But I would expect he'll be out at least quite a while. And I don't expect Houston. I didn't expect Houston to win the division anyways because I'm really high on Oakland. But I definitely don't expect them to without Verlander. I mean, you lost Cole and Verlander, essentially. I mean, how are you going to make up for that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know. That's tough. I think Justin Verlander was going to be asked to do a lot this year. Not that he can't. I mean, he's obviously shown in the past can quite frankly be a number one.
He was the Cy Young last year.
And Cy Young winner.
I do think it should have been Cole, but he was deserving too.
Right. If he is out for the whole year, that's going to be tough for the Houston Astros. They have a decent offense, but as a Rockies fan, trust me, you got to be able to pitch to win games. I've seen that, and a lot of years we haven't been able to pitch. You can score runs, but it'll be interesting to see if he is out for the year. How significant of an impact will this be for Houston?
Huge.
Will they still make the playoffs?
With the 16 teams, yes. But if it were still the original format, honestly, I'd say probably no. I wasn't super high on Houston this year anyways, unlike most. I had Oakland, Minnesota, and New York winning the division, and then I had Houston and Tampa being the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were only, I now think Houston will be outside of the top 5 in the AL. I think Cleveland will finish better than them definitely now. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but if Verlander misses significant time, I don't expect them to be a top 5 team in the AL.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see how Houston does this season. If Verlander is right and he is back in a couple weeks' time, great news. Awesome. But if he does miss the whole season.
Him, I mean, he's like 37. You don't want to be getting in bad injuries right now.
And you don't know how much longer he's got either. Right. I mean, won the Cy Young, age 36 years. So obviously he's doing all right. But
Nelly Cruz is 40 and just, destroying the MLB. So
no biggie.
There's always hope.
There's always hope. That's true. But anyway, so we'll move on. Mookie Betts is going to be in LA for quite some time now. Signed a 12-year, $385 million extension?
That's a lot of money.
With the LA Dodgers.
Wasn't it? Oh yeah, I was gonna say wasn't it 13? But yeah, you're right. It was a 12-year extension for a total of 13.
Right.
Yeah.
So first off, Dodgers. There wasn't a lot of question if he would actually be back with them. If this was just like a small stint, test.
Didn't you think he might go back to Boston?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I thought maybe wins something in LA and then goes back to Boston. I thought it was a possibility. Obviously, that's not true, as this is now official. So Mookie Betts for the Dodgers. Do you like this contract? And do you like it? I guess is my main question.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, if I remember correctly, you had Mookie Betts as the second best player in baseball, right?
Yes, he is.
I think I have him at like 4 or 5. I do think Bellinger, his own teammate's better, but regardless, Mookie Betts is a stud. And now you're gonna have Bellinger and Bet. I don't know if Bellinger's got an extension, but if he doesn't, he will. And you have Bellinger and Betts for probably a decade. I mean, my goodness. I mean,
yeah.
And in baseball with no salary cap, I mean, we've been over this. There's no such thing as a bad contract in baseball as long as your owner's got the money to pay for it and is willing to pay for it. If you're the A's, there's a such thing as bad contracts. But if you're the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, there really isn't. I mean, there's you screwed up on that contract, but we'll just we'll just pay for somebody else to make up for it,
Right.
In baseball. So, yes, it's a great deal. And the Dodgers they're probably going to win like 11 straight division titles, dude. It's insane.
Well,
they're at
another
6
11.
or 7 now. I mean, they haven't had a World Series to show for it, but I mean, they've already won like 6, 7, 8 in a row. They're probably going to win another 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah, probably, unfortunately. But no, I like this. Something for me that's always kind of frustrating is when people complain, that's way too much money, to get paid for playing a kid's game. My rebuttal to that.
Those people irritate the hell out of me.
Is always that if you are the best at, or one of the best at what you do, why are you supposed to take a contract deduction?
Exactly.
Did you want him to sign a 3-year deal for $25 million? No, you want to lock him up? Give that guy the bank. Give him the Brinks truck.
So, I might go on a little tangent here, but first of all, actors and athletes, they make a lot of money, right? Is their job important? Not necessarily. They're just providing entertainment. But people act like they don't work. Those people, I mean, obviously I don't have firsthand account, but those people put hours and hours and hours and hours into their craft, especially athletes. They're training, especially the really good ones. They train non-stop. They train so much. I'm lazy. I don't want to go work out for 30 minutes. These people do it all the time. So first of all, these people work a lot. They deserve what they get. Second of all, baseball, NFL, and you know how big the NFL is in America? It's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Sports are huge. It's the biggest, professional sports are the biggest entertainment entity, maybe in the world. So you're telling me they shouldn't get paid for that? No, they should. And the people's main argument is, doctors and whatnot should get this money. It's like, yes, doctors should get paid a lot. But guess what? You can't pay every doctor $180 million. That just can't happen.
No.
And I don't care if their job's more important. They're still getting paid a lot, and they pick to do that job. We're not paying Mookie Betts $380 million. It's the owner of the Dodgers paying him.
Right.
And people are like, well, yeah, you are. You're buying the tickets to the games and this and that. It's like, yeah, it's my choice because I want to go. And guess what? If Mookie Betts isn't paid that money, then I can't go to the game and watch Mookie Betts. So, no, they deserve all they get.
Yeah.
And if the owner wants to pay him that money, then the owner can pay him that money. Guess what? I don't have 20% of my Walmart paycheck going to Mookie Betts because that's not the way it works. So pay him the money. I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. Are all of those professions, the teachers, the doctors, surgeons, all that, worthy of that? Absolutely. I think we can all agree that they're worthy of it. You will not walk up to a single person and ask them, is a doctor worthy of making this money? And they're going to say, no, they're not. Because they most definitely are.
Also, just one more thing. I mean, obviously, when you're talking hundreds of $1 million, this might sound silly because obviously they get plenty of money, but people forget these athletes retire at age 35, 40, and I mean, yes, anybody can find a job afterwards, but a lot of times, especially football players, they're beat up, they're retired. It's like they need this money for the rest of their life too. I mean, yes, you can go get a new job, and you're getting, I mean, $1 million would be, or $2 million would be enough, not 380. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, this money they're making is only over a short period of time, and then after that, they got to find something else to do. And a lot of them, especially these NFL players with whatever that head thing is, like, they can't even get a legit job,
Yeah.
I mean, no. So I have no problem with these athletes getting a bunch of money at all.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we're agreeing on that. Nonetheless, Mookie Betts, if you're a Dodgers fan, you got to be pumped. You're having this guy probably there for the next 13 years if everything goes well. You hope to win a few titles.
They should win at least
certainly
one.
the hope. So we'll see how this pans out. But nonetheless, love it. One of the best players in baseball, and definitely deserves every penny he gets.
The best name in baseball.
True, Mookie Betts.
By the way, I got money on the Dodgers to win it all.
Well, that's good. It's probably
Dodgers and Twins I got money on.
Smart financial decision there.
MLB kind of screwed over all them sportsbook odds. I bet on the Twins to make the playoffs, which I think I did, which is obviously going to happen anyways. But now, like, if you bet on, like, say like a borderline team, like, let's say maybe the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs. Well, now with 16 teams making the playoffs, that bet if you bet yes for the Diamondbacks, it's looking, a lot better now. And Vegas is going to get screwed over because those bets were originally, the lines were made for 10 playoff teams, and now it's 16.
Yeah.
I bet they ain't happy with the MLB. I'm not. I can tell you
that. So I guess we can now move into that expanded MLB playoffs. So came out pretty recently. Well, if you're a fan of the NBA, they did for many years was, let's put, more than half the league in the playoffs, even if you're 20 games below 500. Now, for baseball, similar situation. 16 teams make it. So every division winner makes the playoffs, plus every single team that finished in second place is also making the playoffs. So that's interesting. Not to mention the wild cards, the wild card teams, as it would be. So that is really interesting to me. So, Nick, I know you are not a big fan of this, so I'll let you go ahead and start off.
Have I ever mentioned that the MLB is a terrible run organization?
Once or twice, I think.
Dude, the MLB literally pissed me off so much. I love baseball, and I love Twins baseball. But this organization is so terrible. First of all, 3-batter minimum, terrible idea. Runner on second, start extra innings, terrible idea. 16 playoff teams, awful idea. The only thing I like is the DH in both leagues. Also, people complain all the time about how baseball has 162 games and the games aren't meaningful, blah, 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 right? Well, here's your chance. You have a 60-game season. Every game is so much more meaningful now, right? So then you decide to put 16 teams in where it totally dumbs down the season because the Yankees, the Twins, the Dodgers are going to make it anyways. They could play 50 games and make it. I mean, they could start off 0-10, and I would be incredibly confident the Twins would still make the playoffs with 16 teams. It's just stupid. Also, I love the one-game playoff wild card. I don't know if you do.
Oh, I love it.
We won't get that this year.
Yep.
Now you're going to have, let's say the Dodgers and Yankees or Dodgers and Twins are the best team in their league, right? I'd say the best team in the league is probably going to go like 41-19, 40-20. And now you're going to have to put your reward for going 40-20 is you have to play 4 series to win the World Series now in a sport in baseball where the Tigers can beat the Yankees in any given day. I mean, this ain't basketball. The best team's going to beat the worst team almost every time in a series. That's not the way how baseball works. You can go 40-20. Now you have to beat 4 different teams to win the World Series. I don't like that. Now, some people may say, well, you're only playing a 60-game regular season, so a long playoff series that'll make them earn it more. I get that, but I hate this so much. And I've gone over with people many times that the NHL and NBA are stupid for having 16 teams. Now MLB does too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100% with that. I think, number one, you hit a lot of nails on the head here. MLB, terrible run organization. Them and the NHL, I kid you not, they must not want their players to be known because they do not put forth almost any effort to try and, like, the Mike Trout, I kid you not. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. You know, he doesn't really know anything about baseball because I was curious. I was curious. A little science experiment here. I wanted to say, okay, name me 5 MLB players right now. I don't even care if it's the biggest name guys. Just can you name me 5? He couldn't. He couldn't name me one person. I think like Bryce Harper may have been the only person he could name. Like, you know, Mike Trout couldn't think of him. Bellinger, yeah, like the big names. Even if you're not a fan, like, let's say you don't care about NBA, you don't watch a single game, don't know anything about it, I would be willing to guarantee that you walk up to that person on the street and say, name me a few players. Oh, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Like, they can do that because the NBA and, like, the NFL market their players, and they want to get their players known so that they can get more revenue in. MLB must not care about getting any revenue in because, oh boy, well, screw it. Let's, not, freaking a generational talent in Mike Trout. Let's not advertise him at all. I mean, it's not like the guy's arguably already one of the best players to ever play the game. Screw it. Who cares? Not to mention that, the blackout restrictions, arguably one of the dumbest things in all of sports. Oh, man, I would sure like to, if I'm not at home, to be able to watch a Colorado Rockies game if I'm on the road. But nope, but because I live in Colorado, I can't do it. And it's dumb. It's just completely stupid.
But you can go to the game? Oh wait, you can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't go to the game. Yeah. So that's dumb. The runner starting at second base, dumb rule. 3 batter minimum. Dumb rule.
Are we playing Little League now? Like,
the pitch clock.
On.
Dumb rule. I hate the pitch clock. Is stupid. Now, I don't think we really realize, like, I don't think I personally recognize if it has a huge impact. But nonetheless, to have a clock in a sport where you don't need a clock is dumb. Too big of a deal with
the pitch clock, because if you can't pitch the ball in 30 seconds, then, I mean, come on, dude. Like, it's annoying. But I don't think it has too much effect. Maybe a couple pitchers here and there.
Right. Okay.
But
well,
for the most part,
nonetheless,
every rule Major League Baseball has made over the last 5 years is a terrible one. The only one I like is the DH in the NFL. And I'm really worried now. I mean, I'm really worried that they're going to expand the playoffs in the future now for more seasons. And, like, football already did it. And I don't know if there's anybody on this earth who hates a bunch of playoff teams making it more than me. Mm-hmm. I'd be literally, if 4 teams made the playoffs, I'd be okay with it. It should not be easy to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I will say when MLB added the second wild card, I was a huge fan of that. I did like that a lot because now you get the 1-game playoff in both leagues guaranteed every single year.
I don't mind that. 8. I was fine with 8 because, like I said, I think it should be very, very hard to make the playoffs. That's what the regular season's for, is to prove you belong. But adding those 1 wild card each league, that's still only 10 of 30. That's still only 1/3. That's honestly 1/3 is like a perfect number.
Yeah, I agree.
And that one, they always say the best 2 words in sports is Game 7, right? Well,
you get a Game 7 every year.
Game 7
twice a year, at least.
Season every year. So I love that too. But when you keep getting more, 10 is fine. 12 in football was just fine. Now you're going to 14. Pretty soon they're going to want 16, and then it's like, no, it's just stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus home field advantage pretty much means nothing this year.
Not a thing.
So, like, does it even, like, what's it even matter getting the 1 seed or the 5 seed? Like, I want the Twins to get the 1 seed so they can play the worst teams, but it's like it's not even that big of a deal. The regular season is meaningless for these good teams.
Yeah, I will say this. I think, assuming of all the 4 major professional sports, not allowing fans to go to the games, for the home field advantage, I think baseball would still have an edge in having the home field advantage with the no fans
because of the field dynamic.
Because of the field that they play on. NBA, it's the same court everywhere you go. NFL, same field. NHL, same rink everywhere you go.
Well, and it's the NFL. You have weather.
Well, I suppose, yeah. I mean,
But,
baseball,
yeah. I know what you're saying, but it also depends if you have your team actually constructed for your stadium, which some might not. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't. If you go out and get a good hitter, even though you're in a pitcher's ballpark, it's not like that's a bad move. But yes, I know what you're saying, and I do agree there. And but of all the sports, home field probably means less in baseball than the other ones, anyways. Just because the fans themselves, the fan aspect doesn't have as much impact. It's not like it's not like the fans are gonna cause a balk. I mean, that just don't happen. Like the fans can somewhat cause a false start sometimes in NFL. The Twins had like 55 road wins last year. They were better on the road than they were at home. That's very rare in the other sports. But regardless, you don't have fans there this year anyways, so it's like, the only thing it does for you is the little bit of the park aspect that it gives you, and then you're playing the worst teams. But like the difference between the 7 and the 8 seed ain't gonna be that much anyways. And like I said, in baseball, the Tigers can beat the Yankees any given day. Any given day. It's the way the baseball works. So to me, it's not fair to these teams who actually deserve to have an advantage being the 1 and 2 seed.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I will tell you this: as much as I hate this, it does give my Rockies a little bit more of a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and they're 2-1, so I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll be decent this year.
You never know.
They're pitching pretty well so far. I'm shocked.
Yeah, opening day we lose 1-0. Who would have thought that our pitching wouldn't be the thing that lost us?
Dude, how about that Texas ballpark though, huh?
That is actually a pretty sweet ballpark. Kind of funny, the brand new ballpark, but no fans are there for the inaugural season.
Yeah, right. That would suck. You can a retractable roof stadium can only look so cool, but for a retractable roof stadium, it's about as cool as you could possibly have.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I haven't really seen it that well. Like I haven't watched the Rangers game, but playing MLB The Show and playing on it. I mean, I know it's a video game, but still, that place looks sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks pretty cool. I'm a big fan of that stadium. Also,
something kind of cool too. When I was, the Rangers broadcast for the summer camp games before the season started. Something kind of cool is that the dimensions in the outfield, they have it like all over the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those dimensions have something to do with a significant thing with the Texas Rangers.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, Nolan Ryan's number is like the last 2 of one of the dimensions, and like Pudge Rodriguez is another one. I think like their first winning season is like another one. Like, so that part was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. With that being said, if I were an owner and getting a new stadium, there's no way in hell I'd get a retractable roof. No way on earth. I don't care.
You don't think so?
No, I don't care if you're in Seattle where all it does is rain. If you want a really cool looking stadium outside, and if you're going to pay the money for a new stadium, either get a legit dome and just be that stupid team who has a dome, or get a real legit outdoor stadium. I would not pay the money. I would not go with the retractable roof.
Not on baseball. I mean, I'm more of a fan of the outdoor stadiums, the Coors Fields, but like,
because I mean, let's be honest. How many rain delays do you really have a year? I mean, those AL East, NL East teams where it seems to rain in New York and Boston and whatnot a lot. They still, over 162 game season, you're only having 6, 7, 8 rainouts at the most. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to make up for that. And I love doubleheaders personally.
Right. But having said that, if it's only 6, 7 times that you have a delay or it's canceled, would you rather have 6, 7 or have a retractable roof? Hey, it's raining. Let's pull it up and
I'd
you can
much rather
play your
have the 6 or
162.
I'd much rather have the 6 or 7.
Oh, get out of here. No, you
Dude,
wouldn't.
Yes. Stadiums are so much better. Legit stadiums that just look so much better.
I agree with you. I like the outdoor stadiums.
The
But if I'm an owner,
6 games a year you're saving yourself is not worth it.
but if I'm an owner and I'm given the option, hey, you can choose a dome or you can choose a retractable roof. Not 10 times out of 10, I am choosing the retractable roof, and it ain't even a hard decision for me. Ain't even a hard decision.
Well, I'm the opposite. No way in heck I'm taking the retractable roof.
All right, well, whatever. You can be right. No. Last piece of MLB news. Nothing. It's not really huge. I just wrote it down because I didn't think we'd have a lot to talk about. But the Rockies did release Brian Shaw and Jake McGee. Obviously, you don't want to cheer for someone's downfall, and you don't want to cheer for someone to lose a job. But am I upset that they are no longer employed by the Rockies? No, I am not. I will say that.
Well, Wade Davis got injured too, huh?
Well, I don't know. Wade Davis is very hit or miss for me. He's been solid so far. He had a 1-2-3 game today against the Texans, the Rangers closing it out in the 9th. But I don't know. Anyways, what you eating there? What you got to eat?
Got me some lemon drops.
Oh, okay. Those are good.
Yeah, I'm supposed to suck on them, and I pretty much just chew the darn things.
How's your dentist bill? Pretty big or what?
Cavity on every tooth, man.
Well, they go big or go home, right?
Yeah, I got all the cavities out of the way while my parents paid for them.
That's it. Now you're thinking.
You bet. Using the melon.
I knew there was something behind that big old fro of yours there.
You bet. Using the melon.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Move on to the NHL. When one football team is not able to figure out a name, an NHL team is. The Seattle Kraken is going to be the name of the newest NHL team. First reaction, I loved it. I thought the name was cool. I think the logo, the design, everything that they did for that, they hit it out of the park, which typically does not happen. It seems like whenever we get new teams or rebranding of teams, it typically is not good. Like, they do not do a good job. I think they did a great job with this. Yeah.
I think, I hate Halloween, but maybe I'll dress up as a Kraken for Halloween this year.
Hey, you can be a Seattle Kraken fan. There you go.
No, I love it. I love the name. I'm looking forward to how the Seattle Kraken fans are gonna celebrate the mascots they have, the sayings they're gonna have. I'm looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to it. I like it a lot. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm excited to see how they look out there on the ice with the new jerseys and stuff. I think it'll look pretty cool. But anyways, so NHL, they recently announced all of the finalists for the awards, for the main awards that they will be handing out. So what better thing to do on the podcast than to try and make some predictions? Everyone loves some predictions, right?
You bet.
So we'll just get right into it here. So first off, we will start with the Hart Trophy, which is essentially the MVP. It's voted on by the Hockey Writers Association. The finalists for that are Edmonton Oilers forward Leon Draisaitl, Colorado Avalanche center Nathan MacKinnon, and New York Rangers left winger Artemi Panarin. So some stats here for you. Draisaitl led the league with 110 points, 43 goals, 67 assists. MacKinnon, this is his second time as a finalist for the Hart, has the second best record in the Western Conference and is fifth in points with 93. And Panarin, one of the better goal scorers in the league, tied Pasternak for third in the NHL with 95 points. So if you are handing out this award, who are you giving it to?
Draisaitl. I mean, sorry to say, McKinnon's good, but I mean, Draisaitl's got 110 points. He's, the the Oilers aren't, Bruins good, but they're good. And Draisaitl's the main reason for it. And I think what most people would contribute to why if most people taking Draisaitl would probably contribute to the fact that McDavid missed some time Draisaitl pretty much just kept him afloat. It really didn't even affect him that much for the time being. With that being said, if McDavid didn't get hurt, he'd be right up here in this conversation too. Again, like always. But yeah, I would give it to Draisaitl. Also, I think Pasternak should probably be in above Panarin.
You think so?
I mean, they have the same amount of points, and Pasternak is tied for the league lead in goals. I think goals are more important than assists. Goals are harder to get.
Yeah. It is
And the
important,
Bruins are
though,
the
to be
best
able to
team in
set up your
hockey.
teammates.
Yeah, Bruins are the best team in hockey. I mean, not that it's a big deal. I don't think Panarin or Pasternak would win, but
So I think Draisaitl will probably win. So that'll be my prediction. Will be Draisaitl. Nathan MacKinnon is certainly deserving, though. Obviously, he's a finalist for a reason. He's the best player on one of the best teams in the Western Conference, competing for the number 1 seed when this pool thing starts up.
who's got the one right now?
The Blues. St. Louis Blues. So I think Draisaitl will win. Is MacKinnon deserving? Equally as deserving? I think so. But I think the fact that Draisaitl's got more points, goals, assists, that's going to be a huge factor for the voters when it comes to that. He's also first in points per game with 1.55. So he has put. I'm not saying like he isn't deserving. I'm not saying MacKinnon is 10 times more deserving than Draisaitl is, because Draisaitl is 100% deserving of it. I think MacKinnon is probably going to get slept on a little bit, but if I'm making a prediction, it's probably going to be Draisaitl. So I'm going to go with that. So now we will go to the Calder Trophy, which is the Rookie of the Year. The finalists for this one, Avalanche defenseman Cale Makar, Canucks defenseman Quinn Hughes, and Blackhawks left winger Dominic Kubalik. So some stats and stuff going out here. Makar leads all rookies in points per game. Hughes leads all rookies in assists, points, and power play points. And Kubalik leads all rookies in goals with 30. So if you're handing out this award, who's winning the Calder?
I'll give it to your Av this time. Cale Makar, you said he leads all rookies in points per game. And, at one point in the season, I mean, this dude is one of the best defenders in hockey. And
Yeah.
I don't think team results should matter too much in individual awards, but, I mean, he plays for the second best team in the Western Conference, too. And he's obviously in a large reason for that. So I would give it to Makar.
I agree. I'm also giving it to Makar as well, too. I think he's the most deserving out of all three of them. I will say it is kind of interesting to see that 2 of the 3 finalists are defensemen, and the main thing that they talk about is their offense. It really is kind of cool to see how much the NHL has shifted and changed from, if you're a defenseman, you're to stay on the blue line, get a shot out occasionally, but that shouldn't be your main priority. Now, 2 of the 3 finalists for the Calder are defensemen, and Makar, who leads all rookies in points per game, and Hughes, who leads all rookies in assists, points, and power play points, are big offensive stats. Now, not to take away from their defensive side of things, because obviously they're not a liability on defense, but I think it is cool to see how much the NHL really has changed throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Jack Adams Award, which is the Coach of the Year, you got Bruins coach Bruce Cassidy, Blue Jackets coach John Tortorella, and Flyers coach Alan Vignault here. Cassidy has led Boston so far to the most points in the league with 100. Tortorella has been nominated for this award. This is his 5th time. He lost. This is an interesting point for me, is that he lost his top goal scorer in Panarin and top goalie Bobrovsky to free agency, they really, I mean, he really had to do well with this. And then the Flyers coach, Vignault as well, they had the worst season in 13 years, and now they're top 16.
Mm-hmm.
All three guys are deserving. Who wins the award?
The coach of the year, manager of the year, whatever sport you're talking, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you did the best job that year or you're the best coach in the league. It normally goes to a guy who's coaching a team that wasn't good and now is, or they're coaching a team that's really, 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 really good, like the Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, 100 points for the Bruins, I mean, that's pretty good. But, I mean, I think we all expected the Bruins to be good.
Mm-hmm.
If they had, I mean, but I do think it would still be deserving of that. But I personally, the way the Flyers have played this year after last year, I mean, they were terrible last year. So to coach that team to where they are right now, I think that deserves coach of the year.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Tortorella from the Blue Jackets. To me, I just think losing your top goal scorer and a guy who is up for potentially winning MVP, and then you have your top goaltender who is, not up for the big award for the Vesna, but he's one of the more solid goaltenders in the game, to lead them to another playoff performance. I think that means a lot. It just goes to show that, okay, well, regardless of what happens, we lost two of our biggest guys, who cares? Well, we're going to go out there, still win games. That's exactly what he's doing. So that's why I think he's deserving. I think he will win it. So that's who I'm giving it to, is Tortorella. The Ted Lindsay Award essentially is the most outstanding player. So where the MVP is voted on by the writers, the Hart, the Ted Lindsay is voted on by the players, and it's the most outstanding. So it kind of goes back to MVP and an offensive player of the year. Yeah. So essentially, this one, I don't know. This one could really go either way. The players sometimes look at it differently from the writers. I don't know.
The way I looked at it, the offensive player of the year is kind of like the MVP B,
Right.
Or it's the guy who's a wide receiver who never wins MVP, so they'll give him that award instead. And in hockey, I'd say it's probably unlikely that they both are the same winner. I mean, obviously, I think Draisaitl is the most outstanding in the league this year, but I think McKinnon's got a good chance at this, just because I think Draisaitl is going to get the Hart, so I think McKinnon might get outstanding player.
I would agree with you on that one too. Pretty much everything you said. And then you got kind of the smaller awards, which I don't think we'll go too much into discussion about, with the Lady Byng, which is essentially the player that's a sportsmanship. So that one, I mean, you're a great guy. Congratulations. Here's the award. And then the Selke, which is given to the player who best excels in the defensive aspects of the game, which again is kind of the defensive player of the year B, I think. It kind of goes to that one. The guys that are up for consideration, Patrice Bergeron, Sean Couture, and Ryan O'Reilly are the guys for that. And then the Norris Trophy is for the defensive player of the year. So the guys that are up for consideration for that: Capitals defenseman John Carlson, Lightning defenseman Victor Hedman, and Predators defenseman Roman Josi there. I'm going to have to give it to Carlson on this one. I think he led the position in points with 75. Obviously you don't want to look at the offensive stats, but he also had an average ice time of 24 minutes per game. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But I'm going to give it to Carlson for this one.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. I'm not that up to shape on this
Sure.
one. But Carlson's, I think, the favorite, and I do think he probably will win. And I hope he does because he's a Cap.
Yeah, that's our boy.
And the dude can hit a puck like 200 miles an hour.
No
Obviously,
biggie.
I'm exaggerating, but the dude can hit it hard.
And then we got the Vesna, which is the best goaltender in the league. The finalists for that, Tuukka Rask from the Bruins, Jets goalie Connor Hellebuyck, and Lightning goalie Andrei Vasilevsky is those guys. Is there any person that stands out to you that you think would is deserving of winning it?
I think Hellebuyck might win, considering the Jets lost 4 defenders or something like that, and the dude's still just standing on his head, getting these saves, and has put the Jets in a good spot. But I think Tuukka probably deserves it. Like I said, team performance shouldn't necessarily mean too much in individual awards, but Boston's the best team in hockey, points wise, and I think large part because of him. I mean, obviously they got plenty of other good players, but large part because of him. And he leads or is, top 3 in a lot of goalie stats. And I believe he's first in save percentage or goals allowed average, one of the two, if not both. So I would say Tuukka probably should win, but I think Hellebuyck might. And then Vasilevsky's obviously a stud. I mean, it seems like he's up for the award all the time.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Hellebuyck for this one. The Winnipeg Jets are a team that it seems like is contending, and Hellebuyck is a solid guy to put in the net there, solid netminder out there. Rask may win it just because a lot of times, voters like to look at, okay, well, he's on the best team, so obviously the guy on the best team should be getting the award, so it'll probably go that way. I would give it to Hellebuyck if I had a vote, but I don't, so oh well. But that's it. And then the final news piece, nothing too huge except for Mike Tyson's making a comeback, fighting Roy Jones Jr. September 12th, 8-round exhibition match.
We're gonna buy that, Dorton.
Yeah, I'm about to say we better be pay-per-viewing that because I want to watch that for sure.
By the way, the Padres just lost. So 4 days into the baseball season, there is 0 undefeated teams, not a 1.
Interesting.
That's crazy. So if you're 2-1, you're currently tied for the best team in baseball.
Hey, I'm glad that the Rockies are up with the best.
The Baltimore Orioles and the Detroit Tigers are tied for the best record in baseball.
Welcome to sports in 2020, folks.
And the Miami Marlins, who are currently leading the NL East.
Awesome. Well, anyways, that's all the stuff we have to talk about. Unless, Nick, did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Any sports topics, news, anything else?
I just want to say again, Nelly Cruz, 40 years old, hits bombs. What a stud.
Hey, when I move out there in a month, when I'm out there, you better be taking me out to get some food.
I mean, okay. Yeah. If I win, I can give you a little bit of my fantasy.
A little cut? Okay.
Margin. I can give you a little cut.
Okay, that's fine. But anyways, no, that's all the stuff we have to talk about for today. Episode 30 is a fun one. It was a great one to do. I'm glad we've done it for 30 episodes. Every single one's been a fun one. I've enjoyed doing it for sure.
There's only one team in baseball who's allowed less runs than the Rockies.
Oh, yeah? Who's that?
And
certainly ain't the Twins.
The Braves, and they haven't even finished their 3rd game yet.
Nice. Never thought the Rockies would be towards the top of a pitching category.
The Rockies have only scored 8 runs, though.
Good to hear.
Twins have scored the most in baseball. They've scored 6 more than anybody, so get wrecked.
Yeah, okay, cool. Daniel Bard's going to come in and shut you guys down out of the pen.
Best offense in baseball. Who is it?
Rockies, obviously. No. Realistically, it's probably the Twins or the Yankees. It's tough to. I mean, Dodgers. You can make a strong argument for the Dodgers.
Just because the Yankees are power, the Dodgers and Twins both have those. Along with the power, they got some average hitters too. The Yankees are all home runs, so it's home run or bust. I mean, I'd personally probably go Dodgers, Twins, Yankees. But I think the Twins are making a solid case just 3 games in already that it might be them. With that being said, I think the Yankees and Dodgers are both better than the Twins. Yeah. Because they got better pitching.
But anyways, folks, thanks for listening to episode 30. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow myself at Lucas_Dorton, capital L, capital D. If you want to follow Nick at Doetkott or Doetkott, whatever is easier for you to type in the Twitter handle there. And if you want to follow our page at DND_podcast, capital D's, capital P for that, certainly follow us there. Subscribe to us on YouTube would be great. Share this with all your friends, family. Definitely trying to get the name out there is always great. If you want to be on an upcoming podcast, certainly let either of us know. Definitely, it's always cool to have new faces, like Mr. Patel was on here today. That was pretty cool to see. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Episode 30 was a great one. And as for Nick and myself, until next time, we are out.